Thank you for joining us for today's eVetSites webinar. My name is Jose Galvin, and I'll be helping you out this morning. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. So in your chat window with the GoToMeeting, if you could just say yes or no or something in there, that would be awesome. All right, they're coming in. Looks like some of you can hear at least. All right, great, excellent. Well, good morning to all of you, and thank you again for taking time out of your schedules to learn, hopefully learn a little bit and take part in this webinar. Like I said before, my name's Jose Galvin, and I've been working here now for either 8 or 9 years. I can't keep track. We just had what's called the Viniversary, so I'm glad to be part of Vin and glad to help everyone out. We're going to be talking about SEO today, really kind of basic overall kind of briefing on it. And so I'm going to be talking about a couple of things having to do with your, how your site appears, things that you can do on the site itself, things like that. If anyone has any questions at any point throughout the presentation, please let me know. And I also invite all of you to set up a time for an individual one-on-one. I see Tam is on here, so hello. And I know that some of you have done these before. Like I said, this is going to be real general. I'm not going to delve too far under there, under the hood, but we are going to just cover some general topics in there. And I'm going to use my own veterinarian, Dr. Katie True, is kind of my guinea pig, so she lets me do that. And so again, thank you. We'll go ahead and get started now. For those that don't know, SEO is short for search engine optimization, and it's the way that somebody will find out how your rankings are improved on search engines without paying. So that's an important distinction. If we do a search, for example, for veterinarian in Sacramento, you'll notice that there is an ad up here from VCA. Nice people, but this is not SEO. This is paying for something. Google AdWords, Bing ads, and different search engines have paid entries. That's actually not part of what SEO is. The actual SEO is improving your site so it'll show up here in these listings or here on the map. So as you can see here, Midtown is doing pretty well. They're, and they're probably, well, no, mysacvet.com is probably ranking higher. But they're right underneath a lot of these directories, Yelp, City Voter. These are these different websites that have a whole bunch of information, kind of like the old school yellow pages. So how do we improve the SEO? Well, we'll start right here, and I'll tell you that the map results and the results that appear here have different criteria. I'm also going to talk, in general, that SEO is in two big areas. One part of it has to do with everything that you can put on the site, and this is called on-site SEO. So these pictures, tagging the pictures so that this text appears, all this content, information about the areas that they service, how the links to the different things here. These are all part of on-site SEO and are the things that you can do to improve it. Now, on the other hand, there's stuff that's called off-site SEO, and that has to do with things that happen, how you appear on different listings. So, for example, here, We're going to find out what kind of a presence or what kind of an impact this practice has on these different listings. So for example, and by listings we mean Google, Facebook, Foursquare, and all these other kind of pages that appear, Yelp, yellow pages. If you have listings in these different areas, this is part of your offsite SEO. Blogs would also come into play here, social media. They're roughly two areas the offsite SEO consists of. And so if you're just starting out, if you've got a brand new practice, you're going to need to submit your site to these different places, and we can help you with that, so we can walk you through that process. In general, it consists of you submitting your business information to these different places, and then there's a confirmation email or a confirmation phone call that happens depending. Next week, I'll do a more detailed webinar about the listings. So if you want to tune in for that, I'd love to have you there as well. So again, that's the two general areas: on-site SEO, which is the stuff on the actual website, and then there's the off-site SEO, which is your presence on the different social media sites, directory sites, business listings, and things like that. Okay, so how do we improve it then? So here's the challenge. So let's say Dr. True's got quite a bit of clients already. They improved the facility, did some facelifting to it, and it looks nice, and they're always busy when we go in there. But let's say they wanted to come up here and compete with Sac Animal Hospital, East Sacramento veterinarians, and try to figure out how they can do that. Well, the first thing to do is you can look at the other client, look at their website, and you can do a search just to see how many times a term appears. So for example, here, Sacramento appears 8 times. They're kind of stuffing it a little bit, right? Because some of this stuff is a little repetitive. As the first animal hospital in Sacramento, we've earned distinction as trusted name and full service veterinary care for the East Sacramento community. Real people don't talk like that. Some companies will do that sort of stuffing. You don't have to do that. What you can do, though, is you can certainly look at the site and see how many times it appears. And so on ours, it shows up 5 times, right? Midtown and downtown Sacramento, West Sacramento, which is where I live. It's an actual, town. We have our own mayor and everything. They're talking about there in Midtown. So again, you can still add it in there without it sounding so repetitive. And you can also look at the terms that are appearing. So for example, veterinary is, I use veterinarian here. Sometimes people will call me and they're like, hey, we're not showing up at all for veterinarian, Houston, Texas, or veterinarian in, Palm Beach, Florida. And then we look at the site and they don't even have that term anywhere on the home page. And just a quick note on that. Every page counts towards your SEO, so it's not just your home page, but the home page is typically the first landing page. In other words, the first page that people go to. Kind of like when you go to the mall and it's the first time there, you go for a directory. People usually go to the home page first. So if you go ahead and you do a search for veterinarian, we're only listing it 1 time. So maybe this is, again, like I'm saying, if this is a theoretical case, we wanted to rank higher, we can go ahead and increase that. A little known fact is that Google will also use variants. So see how we see veterinary on there? That'll count. Take a look at the search. See how this word is bolded? The search terms are bolded. And if you notice, pet hospital, which sounds nothing like veterinarians, but Google has figured out that that's a keyword that people are looking for. So if you do, for example, pocket pets or exotics or something that maybe not every other veterinarian does, then you can go ahead and bring that up on your page. Play to your strengths. If you do something that other practices in your area don't, talk about that. Talk about it on your homepage, and then link to a page that's specifically about that. We now offer laser therapy. Click here for more. Click to that page. Go to that page with laser therapy. Have a picture of the doctor or a staff member holding a critter. You're gold. That's going to help out quite a bit. So if the doctor wanted to rank higher over here, she could conceivably, because we're just, again, I'm just spitballing here. They're showing these terms 8 times. These guys are showing it 5 times. It's not always so cut and dry. There's sometimes other factors in there, but that's part of the factor. How many times a search actually appears, or a search term actually is on your site. So when you're making your text, you're making sentences for humans, right? You're writing for human beings, just like I'm having a conversation with you guys. Well, it's kind of a conversation. I see your messages, but we're not like chatting. But the point is that we're using full sentences here. Don't go in there and just cram a bunch of hidden words in white or some hidden thing like that, because that doesn't help. If you go to a website, you want to see and read the information and be able to see it and be able to use it, right? Hey, I just moved to North Oak Park. Oh, good. That's where this vet says she's near us. We'll check it out. And then off they go. They go to the contact us page, look for the map, and away they go. Okay, hey, I can figure that out. I can see where they are, and off they go. So again, the real general first point that I want to share is for your content. Make sure that if you want to show up for something, make sure that content is actually on your page. Now, I mentioned also that all your pages count. The home page is sort of like an intro. So here, for example, we say the many services we offer. Well, I could probably put veterinary or pet or something. And then when you click on it, it takes you to another page where it goes more into detail of the things that they do. So if you have services, again, ideally what we would do is we would have a page where you talk about the different services that you offer, and you just briefly touch on them on the home page, and then you delve down deeper with links to the other pages. That's a logical first step. Everyone with me so far on that one? All right. So that said, there's little things that you can also do to improve your search on the page itself. Oh, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I spoke a little bit about how the maps are different than this one. There's a lot of factors. What Google calls them are ranking signals, and a ranking signal is a thing that will help a site, raise up. If you ever wanted to go out and Google it by yourself, just Google, what are the top ranking signals, and you'll see lists of dozens and dozens of these different things. Some of them have to do with how long your domain name has been around. Is there a keyword in the domain name? They have one. That's a really good advantage right there. SAC and vet, right? Animal hospital. That's a fantastic one right there. And so those are some factors. How many pages you have on your site, what sort of a media you have on there, keyword density. There's a whole bunch of little slices. And when you're talking to people about SEO, I want to stress this enough. There's not any one magic bullet. I repeat it over and over because it's kind of like fitness or anything like that, right? There's no magic bullet that's just going to turn you into like one of those guys on the Bowflex ads, right? You got to put in the work, walk a little bit every day, eat right and do all that sort of business. You can't just take a pill and then boom, you're Lou Ferrigno from the or something. And so in that same regard, there are little changes that you can do. There's lots of little things that you can do that can add up to have a substantive, lasting impression for your SEO. one of the things is obviously the content on the side. And the other thing is when you're looking at this, this ties a little bit into your offsite SEO, but the other part is having people leave reviews. If you don't have a lot of reviews, if you have questions about how to get them, let me know. I can show you how to do this sort of a thing. But there is a way of doing that so that people do leave reviews for you. And you can actually ask, people. There's nothing wrong with asking for reviews. There's nothing wrong with asking for somebody to, to say a kind word about the practice, especially if everyone has been doing a great job. But if you notice right here, so these guys have 41, 55, and 73 reviews. So these are the top ones right here. Midtown is right in the middle of this grid right here. And I tell you this just because I've lived here for most of my life. So if we click on this map, hey, look, there's the ads again. A lot of this, the ranking factors for the map are a little different. They have to do with your reviews, super important. Also has to do with your physical location. So here's Sacramento, state capital. Here's Davis. Here's where I am right now currently. And you'll notice that they've got, here's all the different hospitals. There's still stuff out here, but the stuff that really ranks are things that are kind of close. You see if I hover how they get kind of within that perimeter. So, we don't go too far out there. Wow, where's Midtown? Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of different hospitals that come up before my doctors. And that's because maybe the search term isn't there, and she's right, literally right in the middle of all this stuff. So if we go like this, well, there's Midtown. Now look at this, 37 reviews. So a lot of it has to do with this Google presence on here. Also has to do with how many reviews are on there. You're allowed to have one or two jerks, and I say that kindly. Most reasonable people will look at these reviews and not freak out about them. The fact that there's so many of them is great. Honestly, I'm not sure why she's not ranking higher for that, because she's got it. She's got a ton of stuff, but you can always push for more. And it could be that just this keyword. So if I do something like this, well, here's two, because I'm in Davis right now, and then there's this one right here. So where you're searching from also counts. So there's all these different factors. Don't worry, and I say this, with and I say this, because it's important. People say, oh, I'm not ranking. Okay, well, look, you may not be number one for Midtown, but you're going to be number one for West Sacramento, right? There's this VCA. It's right around the corner from my house, and they're ranking higher because of that location. Look at the map, look at the different neighborhoods, and then ask yourself, are you, what are you, and this is a part of the conversation that you and I can have if we do the one-on-one, which I'm hoping we all do. We'll talk about this, because maybe, her focus is just Midtown. She doesn't really care about Del Paso Heights or North Sacramento or South Natomas, which, aren't that far away, but still it's a different location. So maybe if you're not ranking for one of those things in the neighborhood, you should talk about those neighborhoods. Put something on your page where you talk about the different places that you service. So here, she has neighbors in Midtown and downtown. A simple sentence like that added to your homepage will reap huge dividends, because it'll make it easier. somebody's moving to your town, they're doing a search. If that name of that town or that community, suburb or whatever isn't listed, you're not going to come up for the ranking. So it's important to actually spell it out. Google has done a fantastic job of kind of figuring out what is near, places, the names of these communities and everything like that. But hey, look at this. So here's the actual name. Looks like these guys have their practice actually named Sacramento Animal Hospital, so they're ranking pretty well. Okay, so let me go ahead and see something here. Where is my question? Okay. And and look, they're still doing pretty good for that, even though they have those different areas. Don't like I said, don't get depressed or start tearing your hair out if you're not ranking for one area. And especially if you're right on the border between the two, you may not be number one on that one, and there's just no getting around it, right? It may be that you just, like for example, these guys, their Sac Animal Hospital, they're kind of toward the east part of town, almost as it drops off into the river. They're not going to be number one for Fair Oaks, Orangevale, or Folsom, but it doesn't matter. They're servicing the people there. So just keep that in mind. And if you do want to appeal to people in a certain neighborhood, then you still have a shot. I don't want to discourage you, but just make sure that you keep it in context. That's the important thing. I hear a lot of stories from people that have hired SEOs, people, independent contractors, and techies to help them. And they'll promise some different things. Sometimes they're realistic, but you have to put things in the context. If you're in Sacramento, California, you're not going to rank for Davis, unless it's some sort of really rare thing or a specialty service. We've got there's one of our clients does pathology stuff, and so that's kind of and then there's also imaging, which is kind of like mobile imaging. And they do stuff for veterinarians. So that's kind of a specialty, kind of a niche market there. So keep that stuff in context, and so that way you can do that. All right, you guys still with me so far? I'll keep chatting then if that's the case. All right, so here are some easy things that you can do to improve your SEO. One of them is listing some images. So, for example, and I'll put this link in here. Just in case anyone's wondering. So here's some pictures, and if you notice, if you mouse over these images, it says alt text is your friend. This alt text, descriptive text, meta description, whatever you want to call it, it's just a way of improving the actual images. So if you notice, if you put your mouse over here, it says veterinarian serving West Sac, Midtown, Downtown, North Oak Park, Carmichael, Elk Grove. So this is what shows up for that. And it'll happen sometimes. Hey, look at that. That looks familiar. So you see how and people will do searches via image, often, because what happens is people will do stuff like this. What do they call it? Boarding. So here's some places, and they're looking at these stuff. Here's a place that does boarding. Wow, look at this, boarding.com, South Sacramento Pet Hospital. So the words that you've got on there actually do affect the image search, and so what people will do is they'll click on something, and then they'll go to the site. So if you want to come up for any image, what you can do is log into your site. I guess I should log out of here. You put in your username and then your password. and then you're going to go to edit content. Every image on your site should have some sort of an image description. So here's a little bit of an intro, right? I'm talking about the pet site, which is, as you know, is our sister company here, VinX. And I'm just putting a short description of what it is. Log into the pet site, Midtown Animal Hospital, Sacramento, California. Same with this picture here. If we double click, Midtown Animal Hospital, veterinarians serving these towns. This is kind of a wordy one. They don't always have to be that way. But you notice that I've used short sentences and not just jammed a bunch of keywords in there. And that's because, again, people are going to see these things. Now, the doctor still doesn't have bios, so let's just pretend that she did. If she did, and this was the doctor, you mouse it over, it'll see the name of the hospital, the town, and a little bit about the person. So you can do that same thing for your staff, for the people there. So, for example, here we've got some examples. Veterinary clinic, Anytown, California. Our practice manager, Joe. Veterinary clinic, we offer laser surgery. Veterinarian serving town, village, neighborhood, and borough. There's always a place in every town that calls itself something, even though it's part of a bigger town. Humor them. Usually it's a kind of a gated community or a golf course place or something. In Sacramento, it's a place called Gold River. It's part of another town. It's a little more gritty. It's a nice place, but it's just a little earthier, right? It's called Rancho Cordova, but they say, oh no, they bristle when you tell them that it's Rancho Cordova. Don't troll them. Just kind of accept it and say and put that on your site, because as long as they pay their bills, then that's what counts. So humor them and their little pretend designation for their new part of town. Also, developers love to do that too, right? I'm sure that you all have a place in your town where they're calling it some abbreviation. We have one in downtown Sacramento called DOCO, the Downtown Quarter, whatever the heck that means. It's some made up thing. Again, you can certainly humor them. Heck, I'm going to do it right now. So now if somebody does a search for Doco Vet, oh, that's funny. Let's try that. Okay, this brings me to a good point, and I was wondering where I was going to go to. How fast do these changes happen, right? So you make the changes. I put this information in. Where is it? Has Google done it? I've updated this page. Why doesn't this appear right away? Well, Google will, on their own, come to your website and update their vision of the website every once in a while. If you ever do a search on anything, and if you want to do this for yourself, I'll go ahead and put this in. I recommend everyone do this for your site. So site : your domain name into Google. Site : and then what you're going to find out are all the pages. These are all the pages that Google has indexed. And by indexing, what I mean is they've got it on file. This is the copy that they have, and they're going to refer to this. Now, this may have changed in the meantime from the time that they came by to take a snapshot of it. You notice right here there's these little green arrows right here. You may not have noticed it. Whenever you do a Google search, you just kind of click onto your next thing. But here they are. And if you notice, Google came by on the 13th. So they came by fairly often. you may have the same thing where they've come by a couple of days ago. Maybe it's been a week, maybe it's been a month. It's just hard to say. In the olden days, what they would recommend to increase the time that Google comes by to take a look at your website would be to do frequent updates to that. You don't have to do that anymore. Now what we have is a thing called Google Webmaster Tools. It's a free tool. They also call it Google Search Console. And what this is the actual direct communication with Google. So you can just tell them straight up, here's our new site, here's the improvements that we've made, here are the things that we've done. So for example here, they have 20 pages total. I've submitted, 19 of them are indexed. And if I want to just say, hey, Google, come by, we can go ahead and communicate this to them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now with the home page. And you don't need to worry about this. I know, just in case anyone's worrying, oh my gosh, this is a whole other thing. We'll install it for you. We'll give you access to it and everything. All you need is a Google account, and then we can do the rest. If you don't have it, we can go ahead and like I said, if you don't have Google Analytics or Google Webmaster Tools, we'll put it on your site. It's free. It's free for us to put it on. Well, obviously, you're already paying us, but there's not like an extra charge or anything like that. And so I'm going to go ahead and send this through. So again, we don't have to wait for Google. We can just tell them, hey, we've updated this. Come by and take a look. We've got new changes. We updated the staff page, the boarding page, the services page, whatever the case may be. So let me go ahead and pull this up. All right. So now we just kind of wait. And it could be something. Wow. Now, it's typically not. Did I do this? Oh, I did Doco Vet Sacramento. But still, so look at this. So it's not here. I should have done, here, let me do Doco Vet. But still, Doco Sacramento Veterinarian, and look at this. It's usually not this fast. I'm actually kind of excited about this because I've never seen it really update that quickly. But as you can see, November 15th, that's about the time. 1731, yeah, that's the time that we pulled the trigger on this. So you could see some results fairly quickly. In general, usually takes at the most about a day or so, usually a couple of hours. They're just pumping with gas right now. They've drank their mocha this morning and down at Google because that's incredible. And so, wow. So yeah, so you can make a change. You can submit it to Google, and generally within a day or so, they'll have an update of your website. You can work on one page and then submit it. You don't have to work on several pages and do that. So again, remember we were talking about, I'm going to use the workout analogy. I used to run marathons, and now I'm kind of sedentary because I got my knee messed up. But you work up a little bit every day, and for those that don't run or see it, it's a kind of a big feat. It takes a lot of food and time and lack of sleep because you're getting up earlier and earlier to run more and more longer, ridiculous distances. Well, it's the same thing with this. Most of the time you're running just small ones, right? So I'm going to do 1 or 2 miles, 3 miles or whatever. If you just do a little bit consistently, update your pages, put those tags in the images, that's going to have a lot more of an impact than if you're just, and it's less stressful too than if you just say, I'm going to devote an hour and I'm going to do everything today. Just to give yourself, say, I'm going to do, 15 minutes every couple of days, 20 minutes a week, and I'm going to go ahead and just put some stuff in update these pictures, put these tags in, and you'll start seeing some results. Let me go back over here. So we've covered some things that you can do, the image tags, the Google Analytics. If you don't have a Google account, if you'd like us to install it, shoot me an email, support@eVetSites.com, and just say, Jose, I want analytics and webmaster tools, and I'll make sure that you have it. All you need is a Google account. They're free, so if you already have one, you know, we can use your personal account. I always recommend though setting up one that's kind of a generic practice one, right? So like, for example, I think Dr. True has like a Midtown Animal at Gmail or something like that. You know, do something like that, and you don't have to do a Gmail. You can also, when you're setting up the yeah, I should probably sign out. And I have all these. So let's say you wanted a new account. Here it is. You can actually use your own email address, and so you don't have to. You can use like, you know, whatever, support@eVetSites.com, right? And then you create a password and you put in a name and all that kind of business. If you're going to do the birthday on here, just make sure that it's over 18. Otherwise, you'll be severely limited in the amount of features that you can use in the Google environment. And then if you've got a mobile phone, then put that in there, because that'll help you keep track of it if something goes haywire and you forget the password or anything like that. But let us do the work. Set up the Google account, shoot it to me, support@eVetSites.com. And if by chance I don't have Google Analytics and Google Webmaster Tools installed, I'll do it for you gladly. These are free services. They're fantastic. Everyone benefits. You know, say what you will about Google as a corporation and all their ethics and stuff, but this helps everyone, because if you do a search and there's good information, that just cracks me up. I hope she gets clients from that. And if Google has updated information, they're delivering information to then users, which are us, right? So we're looking for something. I can only imagine there's going to be people doing for this, since we just have the raining. So here's some searches that people can do, and you know, you want to be able to get a hold of up-to-date information, places that are still open, you know, just accurate info. And by you taking control of your Google presence, by taking control of your information on your website and on these listings, like I said, everyone benefits. Google does better. They're obviously going to drive nicer cars than us. But we're going to benefit because you're going to be presenting the most accurate information to your clients. And so that's a net gain right there. Okay. So we've talked a little bit about some things you can do, like just with the images. It's a pretty simple thing there. We've talked about just adding the content to the pages. I want to talk a little bit about the structure of the site. And if anyone wants to be a guinea pig, go ahead and just message me on here, and I'll log into your site here for the team. If not, then I'll continue to use dear Dr. True. So one of the things that, if you start delving into the analytics and the webmaster tools, is they actually start to tell you, what the things are that they value or that they look for. So if we go to Midtown, I've got to update this list a little bit. All right, so if we go to Midtown Hospital here, under search traffic, and you don't have to remember this, but I'm just showing you the things that, again, that they value. here are the links to the site. These are important things. So if you notice, they've got a lot of links from Yellow Pages, Foursquare, WordPress, which is like a blog, Dog Trekker, Blogspot, Find the Company, newsandreview.com. That's a local, it's like our local kind of progressive rag that has a lot of they have a lot of trashy ads and stuff, but they always have like the cool stuff about the bands and things like that. It's for the Pierce Nose contingent, right? But look, this is fantastic because these places are linking to the doctor. So the Google values these links, these referrals. This is part of the offsite SEO. And just like they value all these links coming in, they also value the internal links. So in other words, the pages connecting to one another. If it was up to Google, each page would be accessible from one part of the page, one part of the website to the other. And they would, okay, and Mary says that we can use Marshfield. Great. All right, so I'm gonna put you. You guys are all volunteering. This is fantastic. This is the best bunch. If I could give credits or something, I would. Kindness, animal. Let's see, how am I going to do this? Okay, I'm going to use Marshfield because they're the first ones to respond. So let me log in really quick off-site here, and we'll talk about putting the page together. Give me 1 second. In the meantime, enjoy our exciting calendar. Great. All right. So here's and thank you, Mary. So here's a great hospital here, and so I'm going to give it a quick glance. Excellent. Okay. And thank you again for letting me use this. Here's a great site. It looks nice. I love the logo. Love this weird white stuff. What do they call this? I hear that they have it in the mountains up here, but I've never been. I haven't been in a while. So what you want to do here then is there's a couple of links. Here's a Facebook page, veterinary staff and veterinarians. So you're linking to these things. The best practice, and you can choose whatever you want to link to on the home page, but you want to make things as easy as possible for people to find information they're getting to. So so this is kind of unique. Here we see that there's a cow back here, cat, dog, and everything. So if you've got this information, and someone clicks on this, this is great information. It's all good stuff. But what would be really cool is if from this page you also went to the newsletter, the large animal forums, and the bovine links, right? Because then you're going to make it easy for somebody to get to those pages. Let me see if you guys have sitemap. All right, so this sitemap is hidden. If it's okay with you, I'm just going to make it live for just a second. And sitemaps are always good to have open anyways. This site is not that big, but it's nice to have them. These parentheses won't appear if you're not logged in. So for example, if I go here, I thought it wasn't hidden. So that's just because we're logged in, right? But as you can see now, you can see these different pages. I would leave this page open somewhere on the site, no matter where. It's always good for Google to find it. There's 2 sitemaps too, and I'm not going to delve into that right now, but just know this one's for people. And so losing track of my windows here. Let me get back here. So what I'm going to do, and this is something I think that stands out. This is not something that every vet does. I know that, some of ours. So what I would do is I would go to the sitemap page. This works great if you're in Google Chrome. And if you just highlight these like this, and then you go to edit content, now I could make links. I could make all of these links here as well to make it look nicer. But this is the quick and dirty way, right? And you may be asking yourself, well, Jose, why are you making us do this? We've got so much stuff going on our plate. Why are you going to do this to us? This is more work. All right, so let me explain. If you have this on here, and ideally what you would do is that you would have something on the home page where you talk about large animals. Is there something here? What's a good term here if we're not going to do companion and livestock or large animal? Okay, it's not always about the pets, so I'm trying to think of a good term for that one. And if Mary wants to send something on the chat, that'd be great too. What would you guys call that? I know they're not always, like a horse isn't really livestock, right? So let's see here. Here, how about this? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Small and large animals. And then I'm going to link to large animals here. Here's how I'm going to do it. Again, edit content, highlight the text, click the link, and then we hit the drop down. And then we're going to do the large animal services. All right. Here's why this is important. Again, anybody can go up here and click these things, but let us remember that lots of people are now using mobile devices, and when they're on their mobile device, this is what the site looks like. It still looks great. I love it. I love that all our sites are mobile friendly. I love that they render quickly and nicely. But now we've got this thing, which is called in industry terms the hamburger. It's kind of a cumbersome thing, and until some web designer figures out something nice, this is kind of the de facto standard for these things. If you go to, if you've got a cell phone right now and you pull it up, you'll see that all these sites are like this, even this small company from Southern Oregon. So if we go ahead and click on it, you'll notice how, all right, so here's their website, right? And watch this. Oh, they're not even doing it. How embarrassing. Here, let me try something else here. All right, so here we go. See this, how you have this navigation, even for Apple? Now, this is just what it is. It's there. There's not too much that we can do to to change it, and people can click on it and then click on large animal, then go down to large animal services and get to the place they need to get to. You know, that's fine, but that's a lot of clicking, and we want to make things as easy as possible for our users, right? So if you're scrolling down and you're on your phone or your iPad, you're somewhere, maybe even in the waiting room, and you see this. Now here's the information, and now look. You see how easy that was? 3 clicks, boom, boom, boom. So there's 2 parts to this. You're making it easier for humans to get to everything. You're also making it super easy for Google. So when Google comes through and you tell them, hey, check out our links, you know, we want you to come by. We just added this page, or you know, we just added this stuff. They're going to come through, and they're just going to, like, so for example here, you can crawl a URL and its links. Usually I put in the sitemap because they're going to click that and they're going to find it. Or if Google comes by on their own, they're going to go ahead and follow those links. So by structuring your site, by putting the links on the home page to your top level menus, and then in the top level menus, posting links to the sub pages, you're making it easy for everyone involved to find that information that you need. And that is such a simple thing, you know, design-wise. We're working to make our templates be like that, so that when somebody first signs up, it's going to be that way right from the get-go. But in the meantime, we're going through, and so, like for example here, there's no links here. So again, I'm going to do the quick and dirty. And if you wanted to, you know, there's no one saying that you have to do it this way. You can do something like this. Right? So here's the veterinary staff, and I'm going to link that to the staff. Our veterinarians becomes our doctors. You know, you could, you know, just, and then you're done. Simple as, you know, it's done right there. And just by putting these things in here, you're making it so much easier for the next person that comes by to find the information that they need. You're making it easier for Google to index all the pages. I use this reference sometimes, and you can go ahead and submit what's called a sitemap. There's, like I said, there's 2. This sitemap XML is a totally computer-generated one that we submit to Google. Here, in this particular case, for Midtown Animal, Google has indexed 19 out of 20 pages. That means that they have snapshots of 19 of the 20 pages. When we do this for your site, it's often the case that we'll find pages that are orphaned. So you'll see something like 15 out of 20, or 25 out of 35, or 15 out of 30 pages, where like the pages aren't linked at all. They're only linked via this navigation up here, and so they've become kind of isolated from the rest of the site. You want to be able to go ahead and go to the home page, and be able to click down to everything. Now, see how you've got veterinarians and veterinary staff? It's okay. It's all right. You know, I would change this to about us, maybe about our practice, and so that way people can find it. Anyone have any questions about that part of it? Oh, and let's see, large animal or dairy. Thank you. Appreciate that. One last tidbit here, and it looks like we're almost wrapping up, and I'm glad to see this. Um, a good thing to note, a good rule of thumb is if you're linking to your own pages, there's nothing, you just create the link and, off they go. Hey, look, there's the office manager. Now, if you wanted to link to, for example, social media like we've got here, and I'm not just saying this to butter up Mary, but she's done it perfect. This is open in a new window, and the reason we want to do this is so that people don't leave. We don't want people to leave. We want to kind of use the casino in Vegas or Jersey Shore or wherever the heck there's a casino. You want people to stay there on your site to get all the information that they can. So if you ever make a link to an external page, you can do no follow in new window. And that's important because then what happens is you don't have people leaving, right? So, I mean, if somebody clicks, they get to the page and they click on this and then they're gone, well, they're gonna get distracted because there's all sorts of fun stuff on this website, memes and cat videos and all sorts of stuff. So if you have them open up the window, then look, they've got to come back, right? And then they'll see the puppies and they'll say, oh yeah, I need to figure out what's going on. I've actually got to set up an appointment. So if you're doing the links, make sure to, good rule of thumb is if it's just links to within the site, you don't have to worry about it. If it's links to outside, then have them pop open in a new window. Okay, let me expand this window because we're nearing the edge here, nearing the end. Thank you guys all for the great questions. I love seeing all the information here. Does anyone have any other questions? We've got a couple of minutes left before we've got to pull the plug on this. Next week we're going to be next Wednesday we're going to talk more about the listings. So if you, I'd love for you all to log on and to do that. Same thing here. If you want to go ahead and sign up right to here, and that's going to be local listings here on the 22nd. So and if you missed anything or you're wondering about maybe that Jose spoke a little too quickly, I'm going to upload a video and put it in here in a little bit. So that'll be there as well. Okay, if you don't have any questions, and again, I can see that some of you are starting to take off now. Thank you all for attending again. Really appreciate your time. I hope that what we've discussed today has been useful and to some extent. Please follow us on social media. We are on Twitter, twitter.com/eVetSites. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/eVetSites. And the fun one, again, instagram.com/eVetSites. Thank you all for attending today. Really appreciate everyone showing up, and hopefully we'll see you all next week. Thank you.